explain, but you get where I'm going with this.
Okay, so maybe let me go back to something that you guys spoke about earlier, where you say, this gender roles thing, and then whoever is best at doing what should do it. Now, let me think. I don't know, it seems like back in the day, both men and women had incentive for going into a marriage in a sense, right? Now, let's look at now. What benefit is there to marry a lady for a guy?
Well, it's for family. That's what I said on the previous episode that we had, remember? I always said it, and I still say it even now. Marriage was never supposed to be about you and you having fun. Marriage is not supposed to be fun. Marriage is for the purpose of you, like in the Bible it says, right? Be fruitful and multiply. In this case, you get married because it's a more secure, that's the only way, well, it's not the only way, but it's the easiest way to build a safe environment to raise children.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
But what's this safe environment though? I would like to think it's like a more complex idea than just it being four walls and that's that.
No,
it's ideas.
It's a nurturing environment where the child gets to learn both the feminine energy and the masculine energy, so they can learn to balance themselves. And that's why I was.
So now, if society is now saying that, I think there's something wrong with man being masculine, and that we should, socialize. Yeah, I've heard like something like that, where it's starting to be a thing now that guys are just too masculine to the point that they're just too aggressive. So we should breed men that are a little more like girls.
No,
in a sense.
But in most cases,
not really more
it's not like that.
I would say show more emotion.
But that's you guys. This is the idea that you guys have. I'm not telling you like what other people are thinking and what some people are actually putting into effect. It's like I don't know if the story is from Australia. I'm not so sure, but so this is a preschool teacher, right? Like crash, right? So what was happening is that this woman feels strongly that women are put down. That's why they're not engineers. That's why they're not like, in a sense, there's no biological, what do you call it, influence to their decisions. We are all like a blank slate. So basically, our society builds us in the same way. So here's what she does. In a preschool, she buys Lego, bricks, that kind of thing, Legos. You remember that thing? Right? Yeah. So what she did was she got a grant from the school and bought that stuff. But what she didn't say is that it was only going to be girls that plays with it, and not the guys.
I feel I would support that myself. I mean, you still make a choice, right? You still make a choice.
I don't think so.
If you want to play with a doll, dude, play with a doll. That's your thing.
No, but it's like, here's the thing. There's some people are being restricted from doing certain things. So it's like only the girls can play with the Legos.
Why?
That's what I'm saying. It's trying to equate the equation now. So it's like you guys have been in position of privilege for so long.
That's basically doing the reverse of what was done now.
Exactly. So it's like,
if you can put the Legos, the teddy bears, and everything in one place, and allow the children to have freedom to choose what they want to choose, then I would understand why you're doing that. Because now that's the only way to make it equal, right?
But also there's an idea that, because of the trauma that women have been put through, right? There are certain ideas that they pick up, and it's not easy for them to let them loose and pursue what they want. So it's like they need to be encouraged to pursue what it is they would want, because maybe it might be intimidating to be a doctor because they had never seen any female doctor in their lineage or whatever, right? So it's like,
yeah, but the thing is now, the problem with encouraging, I don't feel like there's a problem encouraging women to become doctors or anything else, right? But I feel like the problem is encouraging them in that way whereby you are limiting them. You can only play with the Legos in this thing. You're also building exactly the thing that I was saying has been built for us guys now. Too much expectations.
Yeah, of course.
You're basically making this person, like, I don't know, you're building this false narrative in their heads that this is what I'm supposed to be. Whereas there's so many other options. You could be anything else besides just a Lego builder person, who of course in this case could be an architect or whatever, an engineer. You don't have to be that. You can also be something else.
Or you end up building a man that now dumps you off the build.
You see what I mean? But the point is, for me, man, the way I've noticed it is, for guys, the reason why guys show a lot of toxic masculinity, obviously is all the things we've mentioned, right? But all these things stem from one thing: societal expectations. It's almost like people build you to have so many expectations from you that if you fail, it's almost like your life is meaningless. You're shit to society.
Yeah,
you don't mean anything. You're not special. You no one respects you. Nothing. And these traumas now reflect themselves as this form of fragile masculinity that now further leads to toxic masculinity.
Mm.
So I feel like the best thing to do for me is like what we spoke about earlier, which I think up here you said it right, the nurture part, right? It all starts with the nurturing part. Even the school system itself, I think, should be involved as like even the institutions themselves. You don't have to say that a guy is supposed to be this or a lady is supposed to be that. Like if you choose if you choose that you don't want to get a wife, it shouldn't be seen as a bad thing.
But okay, so
You die alone.
so maybe let's think about. I think it's a little more complicated than that. Let's look at a situation where there isn't a father in the house. I mean, there's always that what do you call it? Yearning to know what it's like to be around other men, in a sense, because it's like maybe you might feel like you might have missed some lessons. Because I think that's the benefit of having a father around, in a sense, because it's like maybe some things you don't have to experience. You're just told like, you know what, like, nah, if you see a girl like this, then you know you might as well just move away, because it's like this is gonna happen to you, stuff like that, right? So it's like now I feel as though in not having expectations, I guess maybe we need to be smart about how we convey these ideas to kids, because I feel like with true intent, you might actually teach your child what's beneficial, in a sense, right?
Yes.
But I feel as though maybe now sitting strongly in that corner and saying that, but if you fail to do this, you might as well kill yourself or something like that.
You see.
I guess maybe that's the extreme end.
Yes. Because for me, I feel like it's important to teach your kids, man, the downfalls of things, right? It's important to tell them, like, if you meet a girl who's like this, chances are this is what's going to happen. But don't tell them, don't do this, don't do that. Just tell them, if you do decide to do this, if you do, the choice always make, I think for me it's important to make people know that they always have choices.
The consequences.
Because I feel like people sometimes feel like because I failed in what is expected from me, I am nothing anymore. My life is meaningless. Then they kill themselves or become aggressive people, like, you know, what we are talking about today. Which is now, I think, leads to the suicide thing. Because sometimes people feel like, wow, my life is just so meaningless, man. They try being aggressive at first, which is obviously signs that someone needs help.
Yeah.
And then eventually they end up killing themselves. But I feel like, what is it now? We run out of power.
That's the thing. We've lost a lot. But anyway, let's
Yeah, so either way,
Let's see.
this is my conclusion anyway, man. Because I feel like it's time we conclude now.
Yeah.
But either way,
So let's just take what can be done in terms of toxic masculinity.
So as I
in terms of from violent and sexual violence perspective, do you think throwing someone in jail who has beaten someone up or has raped someone is gonna help end this thing?
I feel like they should be thrown. There should be consequences for your actions. But I feel like what you do, because prison for me, I think has changed to what it was supposed to be. Right? Yes, it's punishment, but it's also rehabilitation. So what's the point of throwing someone in jail for like 10 years and then they come back and they're even worse because they've been abused in jail or raped? They're even worse, they're even more bitter, they do the same thing.
So do you think that's enough deterrent for?
I think you should go to prison and serve your time. But I think there should be systems in prison that help you that basically try to get to the root of your problem. Like, why are you being the way you are? Like therapy sessions, like things like that. For us, especially for us black people, we don't show emotions like that, bro. Like, black don't crack, you know,
that's true.
Yeah. So I feel like in prison systems or in any other system that is meant to rehabilitate you, to help you at least cope with the environment you're in. Because I feel like that's possibly the biggest problem that people have. This inability to cope with the environment that you're in.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you're in prison, they should at least help you there. Like, what is your problem? That's not the only option you have. You don't always have to be the aggressive person who rapes people. There are other ways to, you know, help yourself. Or maybe even help you see the world in a different way.
Yeah.
So you don't have to feel like that or do the things you do.
Yeah, I'm also for the prison system. I just don't think it rectifies the this problem with misuse of your masculinity, in a sense. I just feel like there are certain ideas that we ought to do away with. So I don't necessarily think people have to be brought up a certain way. I just feel like, at some point they should just be told, like, well, no, this isn't it. You can only pursue somebody to a certain point, or you can only engage with a certain person to a certain point before it becomes an offense, or before you
becomes aggressive and
in a sense. So it's like
too physical.
So this is only because I'm saying this as not wanting to socialize people into being anything, but letting them be what their true potential is in a sense. So it's like, of course, you'll have guidelines here and there, but I feel as though, so an external hand, most of the time, it's like, it's limiting in a sense, and that's where people now start to wonder about their purpose, because it's like, if you have a certain ability and you're limited in a sense, you might feel like, you're being put down. And I guess maybe that's the same war that women have been fighting against. Like, we couldn't pursue certain opportunities because we've been saying, no, we can't do this and that.
Being marginalized.
You know what I feel like, prison is good enough for, to rehabilitate, what's the word? To rehabilitate people. But then again, I feel like, why do we have to wait for someone to be killed to be raped before you can, try to rehabilitate someone? Why can't you just take steps before the actual thing can happen?
I think that's just one way of doing it. I mean, I don't think that would be the only way to do it. I think for me, normally, you can do that for the people, obviously, now who are too damaged to begin with.
That was my thought.
Yeah, but I think it should start earlier from nurture.
Exactly,
Early childhood.
Exactly.
In fact, I think at school.
So it will not be rehabilitation then.
Because
it's like, normally when you hear things like that, it's sort of saying that males are wrong for how they are already, just by being born as a male. Right?
No,
so
I don't think that's a good way of doing it.
Which is why you hear some people will be like, no, man should speak more, man should go to therapy. As if everybody is like, in a sense, as if nobody is doing it. As if nobody is like showing feelings already.
But then again, how can I target those ones who are not showing feelings already, who are not crying?
That's what I was trying to get to.
Exactly.
So what I was saying was, I feel for me, like as early as preschool, it should be part of the curriculum. Universal for women and for men. It should be like basically standards, man, human standards. Like they should even do examples like as early as preschool, like if a guy does this thing, it's wrong, and try to explain it to kids. Obviously, it will go with the levels. As you get to high school, it will start getting to sexual assaults and stuff like that. You understand, touching someone's butt or this thing of catcalling. Trying to explain certain things as to help people understand. Because I feel like some people just have a tough time, man.
But do we have enough research though? That's the other thing. Because I feel like sometimes
I think we have enough to help some people, bro. Because I mean, obviously, the environment will always change. We'll never have enough information forever for everyone.
Because now it's like if we gonna, I don't know if you guys saw this, but I think it's possibly, I don't know what, it's the APA. So that's possibly, you could actually mean American Association of Psychologists or something like that. Right? So they had a guideline which made it clear that they're gonna socialize boys. Basically, to say that, okay, well, guys are gonna be brought up a certain way. And I feel like it's possibly one of the safest options if you're gonna have somebody not rape. Maybe if you just treat everybody with the same treatment and then they just come out a certain way, and that's that. I think that will help in that sense.
But socialize them in what way now? That's what I'm trying to understand. What do you mean by socialize?
Into making them not think that a woman is a plaything or.
No, that won't be it. So it's like, I mean, it's a whole list of things. It's just that now I don't remember quite correctly what everything is. But it gave me the vibe where, it's so vague to the point that it just says, let's say, like, traditional masculinity. And, that is not so, which is why I was asking, like, do we have all the resources? Because it's like, it doesn't seem like everybody is in, we don't have the same idea of traditional masculinity and what was wrong and stuff like that. So I feel as though it gives leeway for certain people to be suppressed in a certain way, because it's like, I mean, if you find utility in some of the things that people did back in the day.
No, but I think maybe you misunderstood what I was going with this thing. You know how in high school, or in fact in primary school, I don't know when LO starts, like arts and culture stuff. Basically like a, how can I put this thing, what do you call LO? What is it, the subject?
Life orientation.
Life orientation. Basically, stuff like orientation. In fact, life orientation. I feel like things like a life orientation should include things about aspects of life. How to handle rejection and stuff like that. Things that help build.
Yeah, I guess now you're being specific. You see, so it's like now I think it's an idea I can accept, because it's like.
Like even having videos, where you write an exam, like what was wrong with what the guy did or what the girl did. It doesn't have to be about guys only. Like in a specific situation.
But that's assuming that we have the same ideas. Because why am I saying this is because it depends on who is in power most of the time. And it's like if you're gonna get like somebody like that woman I was telling you about with the Lego story, she's not gonna play fair with it.
I understand this.
In terms of bringing up a curriculum that makes it safer for women, because it's like she would just go brute force and say, okay, let all guys be like women.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I think in a way we'll always have those things, bro, where people don't agree with certain things. But I think us as society, at the end of the day, what is correct and what is incorrect is decided by society. So whether like if you and normalists don't agree with it is normally, because the only way to do that would be to run a survey, right? For example, this thing of catcalling, right? You run a survey of I don't know how many women. Ask them, are they comfortable with being catcalled? If a majority say they are not, you ask them a bunch of questions like why are you not? You'll have to conduct a survey, obviously a very thorough survey, right? So that by the time that you decide on a specific curriculum to teach, it's based on what real people really experience and why it is that they feel like that, so that you can teach these things in schools, right? Obviously, this survey will have to be conducted maybe after each 5 year or whatever, with the changing times, right? Because if you were to conduct a survey maybe 30 years ago, homosexuality would be a no-no. But if you were to conduct it now, most people would be more like open to it. So it would have to be something like that, where each time people conduct a survey to try to help people with social skills. In fact, it could be social skills. Because I think that's what life orientation is, right? It's social skills.
Yeah.
So I feel like
I think I will accept that. It's just like, I tend to feel very strongly against over-treating.
How so? What do you mean over-treating?
It's like, what can I say? Like, I mean, with most people nowadays that are on pills, stuff like that, you would want to question why almost half the school is on antidepressants or
No, I don't believe in antidepressants.
Or what do you call it? Anti-anxiety pills and stuff like that. So it's like sometimes, I mean, obviously there should be some scientific inquiry in that. So it's like, I understand qualitative research, right? And I think that's most of the research that goes into things like this, because it's unique circumstances. It's not everybody that's going to be, what do you call it? Catcalled, I guess, right? So and feel the same way as everybody that's ever been catcalled, right? Some might appreciate it. We never know. I don't want to say they do. But it's like, I mean, so if you get like a group of psychologists who after 1 or 2 clients come to them and report a case and now standardize that over the whole society and say this is what we ought to do, it might not help in the sense that, you see, so that's why I'm saying like it's policy.
The sampling doesn't work, but that's what basically means. Population.
What are you saying? Like, I'm trying to grasp what you're saying.
So it's like, after this discussion, right, we've had all this talk, right? And you feel very strongly that there needs to be a system in place, like maybe throughout high school or throughout primary school, like life orientation in a sense, right? And that's based on your idea of the world and
obviously
where it's going, right? So it's like, what I have a problem with is not you. I'm just saying, like, in the case of the APA, it's clearly a case, okay, let me not say things in absolutes, but it does look like a case where you get a few cases in your practice, and I'll normalize that over every male outside, and I'll come up with this guideline. So it's like a guideline. It's not like even a thing where it's just like, you talk to guys and say, okay, well, this is not acceptable, this is not this. It's actually saying men influenced by traditional, what do you call it, masculinity, are toxic in the sense like that. So it's like men, toxic, inequality. Like, it's like, what can I say, synonyms in a sense. So it's like, it appeared to say that.
Yeah, no, I also disagree with such things. That's why I was saying, for me, the survey needs to be updated every time.
I guess.
Because then if you approach it from that angle, you just have this one fixed thing. And you don't take into account that the world is continuously changing.
Yeah, that's
what
true.
was then is not what it is now.
So, Bruce, the final thoughts on the topic?
Wow, this was a very thorough one.
Hey. Let's hope there aren't any problems there.
Before we can get to the final thoughts, can we get to the death penalty? What do you think about death penalty for, let's say, for toxic masculinity in an area of violence and stuff?
I'm very guarded with my opinion on that. Because,
man,
whatever you're going to say.
Because we've heard that on social media when the thing was just blowing up, many people are calling for death penalty. Do you think?
I think people are reacting out of desperation, man. Because I think when people are hurting, they just want something that will end what is happening immediately.
I feel it that way as well.
But I myself don't really believe in killing people, man. at all. Like I don't believe in killing people. Even the abortion thing sometimes doesn't really sit well with me. But I do understand sometimes you can have early abortion before the child is even developed. Right?
Yeah.
As soon as you find out that you're born and the embryo has been implanted, not embryo, but the zygote. And you get rid of the zygote, it's not really alive.
Yeah.
I get it. But I feel like after a specific time now, it's a baby. It's like 9 weeks. Is it 9 weeks when the heart develops? I think the heart is the first thing to develop.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I forgot.
Which is 9 weeks, I think. I don't really agree now because now you're really taking someone's life. I think they should.
So you're probably not so much into the idea of the death penalty, right?
I am against it.
So it's like I feel like many of the people that are for it would now put this idea across and say, well, look at the Muslim communities where if you so much as still, then your arms are cut off and stuff.
But Sharia law is extreme.
No, well, I do understand that, but then they'll just be saying, because it's like, obviously, like you just say it now, it's people speaking out of desperation, right? So it's these people that are feeling pressed down in a sense they can't really
and just
thrive in a sense.
Exactly.
Right, and there's a saying that, most of the time when you are pressed like that and you're underneath, you tend to say some of the most deplorable things, in a sense. So it's just like that. But then in a sense, if you do think about it, they'll just be like, well, rather treat everybody in that sense, or not everybody, rather have that penalty in place so that people are scared not to do it, so we can be safe.
I understand it. But there was this question this lady asked, right? She said, let's say, right now you're speaking about these things because in general, it's people who have raped that you don't know. Because you don't take into consideration how they feel.
Right?
Exactly. But what if it was your brother that raped someone? Or who was being accused of rape?
It's very complicated.
Right?
Yeah, of course.
Because this thing is too complicated, right? Like for us, when we do what do you call this, forensics? Now we're developing cases, we're developing technologies now. They found that there've been so many people who have been
wrongfully accused,
incarcerated for things they didn't even do.
Crimes
right?
they didn't commit,
Now, maybe 50 years later, this person is found to be innocent. Alright? Imagine now there was a death penalty. This person didn't do anything. They were killed.
Yeah.
There's no chance now that they can redeem themselves and change. They're dead. Now, 50 years later, people find out that this person didn't do anything. Like this thing that happened. You remember when people were accusing people online, saying people have raped? Then after that, a few weeks later, find out that some of the people were lying. They were just jumping on the hype because something was happening. And now they had their own personal vendettas. Now you find out these people are innocent.
Yeah. And then the person could have been executed.
Yeah.
Okay. On death penalty, man, I think I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. Because I feel like if you are caught red-handed doing something, maybe raping someone, then I think straight away it should be death penalty for you. No other way. But then again, if there's not enough evidence, then I think that penalty shouldn't be brought back on such cases.
But the thing is, once you open that gate now, you know how the system is, bro. People can fabricate evidence up here sometimes.
But no, there's no way, man.
Yeah,
if I caught you red-handed,
how many are going to get caught red-handed? You see, it's like, maybe you might get caught on DNA evidence and stuff like that. And people can just say they got raped or, injured themselves afterwards and stuff like that. We've seen it in movies. I don't know how far true it is in reality. Right?
Yeah. And it's also coincidental evidence, right?
Yeah.
Where it's not, doesn't mean what you think it means.
Yeah.
It just so happened to be there at the right time.
Yeah. So I guess maybe the safest option for me, if I am to accept the death penalty, is that I don't think it's too early, because I feel like there's a lot of work that needs to be done, in trying to rehabilitate, like we said before, there's a certain section of men in the world that are just, off, in a sense, so we need to, like what you were saying about that program in primary and high school, right? Once that thing is in place and we have a good generation of people that are possibly decent, then we can have that, because obviously now, come on.
Yeah. Because
I feel like you've fallen on the wayside too much now.
Yeah, because I feel the only way that I would agree with the death penalty would be if the person actually admits it. Like, fuck it, I did it. I did it. But the problem is, that's in an ideal world. Because there's many cases where people have been pressurized.
Come out and say,
yeah, because there's been cases where people have been pressurized to say, yes, I did it, but they didn't do it. Like, for example, with that show, Now They See Us. That's right.
I see. Yeah.
Those boys were like pressurized to say they did things they didn't do. And they went to prison for 50 years. Can you imagine?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, bruh.
Yeah, I know it's for me the death penalty. I think it's just a little too early. Yeah. And maybe
it's not even
the way in which it must have a lot of clauses in them, I guess.
It's not even the best death penalty ever to be out there, because
yeah, I think so.
I've seen a research where they say even in the country where the death penalty was implemented, the rape cases were up.
No,
So
Mm.
it doesn't make sense to bring it back. So.
No, but I think for me, normally, bro, like, I think we should just, as people, work towards making a society that is more caring towards each other.
I think so.
Because I feel
That's
like
what I think.
people are just too cold nowadays, man. You see it on social media how people are. Someone is getting beaten up, instead of helping, you're taking a video of it.
Yeah, of course.
Someone is accused of raping, you don't care about what happened, why.
Because maybe, I mean...
You want them dead.
Okay, on that point, let me say something controversial on closing.
Okay.
In general, there are bad and evil spirit. So the world must balance to the good and the bad.
So you
but
see...
it is actually not realistic to expect the society to be harmony and peaceful.
No, the
because
world,
of the bad and good spirits.
no, the world will always exist in duality.
Yeah.
It will always exist.
Just to balance, there must be good and bad. To balance things out.
Yeah, but then we get a certain section of all women getting injured because of that. That's the problem.
Exactly.
Yeah, look, I think
So
for me, it's a good thing that there's three of us. Because I think for me, I'm an idealistic person. I have an idea, like I have an idea of how the world should be, but that's just in my mind. I'm sure you have your own way of how you feel the world should be, and he has his own.
I have foresight.
You know, he has maybe a foresight.
I'm probably more a realistic person.
You see, whereas for me, I'm more the person that likes to imagine how the world could be.
Yeah.
If people really did.
I imagine as well. It's just, you know, I also start to see like potential pitfalls in any.
I also
You
like.
know, I think that's why I'm strong, and I think that's where I sit. I'm possibly a pessimist in a sense, I guess.
But let me just ask, if you think we're all good people, would there be stability? Or if we were all bad people?
No, there will be stability if they were all bad people. In theory, because it's like...
I suppose because you don't know exactly what the other person's intentions are. You're simply just doing what you can do to protect yourself.
I mean, it's much like what this other dictator say. What's his name from? Was it? No, it wasn't Cuba. Tahiti. Is it Tahiti? No, Haiti.
Haiti.
Yeah, I've forgotten his name, but he said like, you know, for there to be peace and stability in the world, there need to be at least the strongest man in each country. In a sense, but obviously it was in the backdrop of many of the bad things that he had done. So he obviously wanted to be as strong as America, so they don't get suppressed or whatever. But I'm just saying, like, it does appear as though how many times do you hear of England and America wanting to get into some type of war? Because they might actually be equally matched in terms of ammunition in a sense. So it's like,
but it's a good thing though that some people are like that to keep stability. Because if there was only one person.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, have you seen what we have started to do here? We are fighting for masculinity right now.
Exactly. Without knowing.
Because obviously now we're starting to say, like, you know, there should be at least strong people in it.
No, but the strong person doesn't have to be the man. In this case, you're speaking about.
No, but what's biologically possible? Because it's like, no. So here's what I'm saying. I mean, judging by what we have experienced or observed in science, it does appear as though like maybe the stronger person might be a guy.
Yeah, but the thing is, you have to take into consideration the environment we're in now. The environment we're in now, your strength doesn't really determine much, right? It's about the financial impact.
Yeah, well, of course, yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, if you could put
people that rule the world don't have power, like physical power now. The ones that we don't say by name. They rule the world based on influence and money. They can pay you and you can do whatever they want. So this thing is...
society has since moved on since the time where we used brawn all the time.
A lot has changed.
Yeah, but I guess maybe now, look at it this way, right? You're gonna be in a household, right? And you, for some reason, decide against being strong or fit or a protector in any sense. We're not saying like you can't. Obviously in the case where somebody might be feminine in a sense or something like that. I'm just saying like deciding against it. And then a guy comes and invades your house.
I understand.
You can't even protect yourself in a sense because it's like, I don't know, I feel as though there are some things that we can actually appreciate from being super masculine in a sense.
Yeah, no, the thing is, like, I see what you're trying to say, right? But for me, I'm not saying that I disagree with people being masculine, or being strong, or whatever stuff, right? What I do believe is, it's almost like what Jordan Peterson said, right? Negotiate from a strength of, like, from a place of power.
A position of power, of course.
From a position of power, right? So what that means is, you have the ammunition. You are strong. You have the capacity to smack someone if you want to or do whatever the stuff, right? But you still have the moral inclination to control yourself.
Yeah, of course.
And know that I can't just go around beating people.
Yeah.
But if ever anything goes down, I am in a position whereby I can defend myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually true.
I think that is the best way to be masculine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
And not provoke the toxic side of it.
Exactly, which goes back
Toxic
to
side is what we
my short stories about Thor's hammer and stuff like that. I mean, it's somebody who uses his power in a responsible way.
Yeah.
Right.
The worthy ones.
The worthy, yeah. So I guess maybe that will determine whether or not you're worthy.
But the thing is now, masculinity is not something you're handed, so that you have to be worthy of. As a man, as we said, the expectations now is that you're expected to be a specific way because you are a man.
Yeah, but then it's like now when you get exiled from community, then you're not worthy of the gift that you have because you abused it and now raped somebody.
Yes, and that's where
so that's exactly now when you get withdrawn from society because you're not worthy.
Yes, reform centers, right? Like
exactly, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So it's like only those that are not doing bad should be allowed to roam freely, right?
Yes,
and the ones who are bad, then exile is not like a bad thing.
Yes, I do agree.
Yeah. So in final thought, my niggas.
I think that was like a final thought.
That was my final thought.
I have said my final
I guess maybe my final thought would be that I'd like to be as masculine as possible, just not in a toxic way. According to the definitions that we've shared here. So it's like I'm not a person that will sit in one position forever. I mean, if there's new information that tells me that no, that's not the best position to sit in, I'll comfortably move away from it. I would like to confess and say I'm one of the guys who used to say, like, if you're crying, then you're possibly weak. Because I had not, or maybe still not, experienced situations that make me cry. But that's not to say I'm super masculine. It's just that maybe I've had it easy.
Possibly, Chief. But I mean, it's a good thing that you acknowledge yourself to be a specific. Because I feel like that thing of having self-knowledge, knowing your weaknesses is a very important thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I feel like you'll be bitter now. Why am I not getting a goal?
Yeah.
It could be that you're not even ugly, but you're simply just doing something wrong all the time. And if you don't ask other people, like, yo, bro, like, it's ugly.
Yeah, that's true.
You may never know. You'll live maybe your entire life not knowing.
So I guess maybe people that do well in life are wholehearted. Like, they understand that, okay, I don't do well in this, but I'm fine. I'm good.
Yeah.
In a sense. So I guess maybe that's why I was saying, like, I think I heard somebody, what's her name, Brene Brown. I think she's big on vulnerability, and she was saying something about, from being vulnerable, follows wholesomeness, because it's like,
yeah, that's true.
You've put yourself out there. You don't have, because what keeps you away from presenting a certain way is because of the shame
holding back
that accompanies it. But now if you're just out there and say, you know what, no, this thing is really bad for me, I'm gonna cry now, then that's that. People already know that. It's out there now. What follows that is you dealing with it.
Yeah.
In a sense.
I think the best philosophy now, since we are the bro philosophy, the best philosopher in this case, to help us in this case, would be Albert Camus. Now he believes in absurdism. Okay. Basically what he believes is, well, it's not just him, but let's say him as a prime example. But what he believes is, if you look at reality as it is, bro, all of us are absurd in a way. The things we do, we don't even know most of the times why we do. It simply is that you're born and this is what you have to do and you don't even know. The people that tell you don't even know. The best thing you can do is enjoy the life, man. Don't be afraid of like being emotional or all this stuff. You won't die because you're emotional.
Yeah,
just know that the things that you are ashamed about yourself, chances are the person that you're speaking to possibly has gone through the same thing. If not, they will possibly go through the same thing.
Yeah, that's actually true.
So in a way, we are all just idiots running around the planet trying to figure things out. And you shouldn't be ashamed of the fact that you haven't figured things out yet.
Yeah, that's true.
The only way to figure things out is by experiencing things.
Yeah,
of course. Eventually, you'll figure things out. I
Well,
think that's my last word.
All I can say is that we need to move from the past days, the traditional way of doing things to current. We need to move with times. That's all I can say.
Yeah, of course.
We need to adjust to adapt to new times as well, so that we cannot bring whatever we've done in the past into now, which is what's going to bring to masculinity. So that's all I can say. We need to adapt to current times so that we keep up with times and we know what's toxic or not.
Yeah,
but of course, our masculinity has to be there. We have to keep it.
Yeah, I believe.
Because I feel like it's in our DNA somehow.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe, I will ask you guys this. How do you eat your banana?
I think it's
What's the normal?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's not what you do, bro.
Bro, I eat it that way. And I don't know. I think for me, bro, I may have some insecurities as a normal human being, right? But I think when it comes to masculinity as it is, I'm normally like this very.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess maybe the way I used to eat a banana, or well, I haven't had a banana in a while now. But it's like I would like to think I would just like tear it off and then put it in my.
Actually, I think in most cases I tear it off as well.
So it's like I feel as though I don't think is that a masculine thing, or it's just because obviously I mean it just has.
I think it depends on the intent.
And you see the
why is it that you're breaking it off? Is it because
I
you're thinking of that stuff?
I don't know. I'd like to think that's what I was before, man. Like
Yeah,
we just thought like it just looks like one of those things, yeah. We're not gonna say it out loud now.
Yeah.
We're just looking like that. One of those things.
The fragile is being touched.
Yeah, it's fragility, man.
I don't know. But it's a good thing that at least you acknowledge that and you noticed it.
Yeah.
Because if you're not aware of it now, that will become
exactly.
You'll be defensive about it all the time.
Yeah. So I guess maybe one last word for me is that I feel as though we as people, wherever we stand in life, be it extremely masculine or feminine or somewhere in between, I think we should not generalize beyond how we feel. So it's like if a certain situation makes you cry. If it doesn't, then it does not. But if it does, if it makes somebody else cry, then let them cry. Because obviously, let's not have these myths that we now have to, uphold all the time, and then they're like a standard of excellence the whole time that haunt us. And then if we don't do that, then we feel bad about ourselves, and then present with these aggressive behaviors towards our fellow human beings because we feel the need to always be in power, even when we are not in a position of power.
Yeah. No, I think we've covered enough ground in this topic.
Alright, that's it, guys. See you on the next one. Please subscribe,
like and subscribe,
comments, troll, whatever. Please don't ask me when the podcast coming. Comment on the section below. Leave your comment there. Don't engage me in person. I want to see your comments below.
Alright, thank you so much for watching.